It's conservative.
If you're looking for something liberal
and realistic, this is the place to be.
Hello and welcome to yet another conversation that we're going to be having as the youth. Today with me is Natasha and Vimbai. We are having a follow-up conversation from the one our gentleman had previously. And before we get into the conversation as ladies, we're just going to have a recap of what they discussed. And they were talking about ROORA, by the way, which is a subject that as youths, we're not well versed with. Should I say, we know it from a theoretical viewpoint. However, I believe each and every one of us wants to take part in this ceremony, should I call it? And not only do we want to take part in the ceremony itself, ROORA is the ceremony part, and then marriage is the lifetime process. Did I get that correct, ladies? Okay. Anyway, maybe you can give us a brief of what the ladies discussed. Shall I start with you, Vimbai?
The gents.
Yes.
Okay, so they defined ROORA as a man and a woman leaving their parents' houses and becoming one to start their own life as two. And according to Bible verses, we have the one in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, where they are saying the man leaves his house and marries his wife, and the two becomes one flesh. Okay. We can also hear a lot from Natasha.
They also spoke about having one man and one wife. So to say you've engaged in a ROORA thing, it means that you are now, as a man, you're getting married to one wife, not to as many wives. And then I liked the part where they spoke about how a man has to work in order for them to marry, to engage into the lobola session. So they're saying that as a man, you have to work so that you get the money to be financially stable. Because when you go and you marry someone, you need money for you to be able to pay as a token of appreciation to the wife's parents.
Oh, okay. Quite interesting. So they looked into the challenges that they are facing, right? That they are facing in terms of why they are taking long to get into marriage. And she has already highlighted finances, right? And I was just thinking, do we have those challenges ourselves? She mentioned working, right? Do you think, Vimbai, we have the same challenges that these gentlemen were talking about? Because a man is to work. Do I have to work?
So, yeah, I think you also have to work. The Bible says they are going to be one flesh. So for you to be able to cooperate and work with one mind, you have to be in coordination. When he's working and you are not, it means there's going to be a lot of burden on his side, which is going to maybe make the ROORA thing for it to be successful a little bit hard for him. So we also have to do our part, whether to a lesser extent or to a greater extent. We have to do our part so that we meet each other either halfway, quarter way, or three-quarter way.
Oh, okay.
Right. Maybe to add on to what Vimbai said, the Bible actually states that I will make a helpmeet for you. So for you to be a helpmeet for that person, you can't be someone who's seated at home doing nothing. You at least have to be found doing something as a woman. And also Proverbs 31 also actually highlights that we as women, we're supposed to wake up in the morning, we're supposed to do house chores, we're supposed to look for food for us to be able to feed the family. So it's not only the burden having to be on the men, but it also has to be on us so that we help each other, we complement each other.
Okay. I was just thinking, did Eve work?
No.
Okay. In as much as we might throw in Eve into the works, there was Rebecca, she did work.
Yeah, because she did.
And then we go to Ruth, she did work.
Yes.
But,
There's also Rachel.
oh, Rachel, she did work?
Yes, she did.
Really? Okay, so we are saying we need to work as ladies. So if I'm not working, I am not eligible for this ROORA business. I should stay away. Is that what we are agreeing here?
So according to our Bible examples, we have people who are doing manual labor. So in our day-to-day lives, it might be hard for me to work in the fields like what the Bible characters we found doing. You might not find me herding cattle or feeding the camels, but we can work in ways like maybe mentally, whereby a guy has his own mind of starting a business, and I give my input, my mental input on how the business is going to flow. It's not like I have to do manual labor per se. I can be a help in terms of mental issues.
Okay, all right. I like one thing that you seem to both be agreeing on. We are talking about working with our hands, right? Can I shift the conversation a little bit in a different direction? Do I have to work to be seen so that I can partake of this ROORA business?
Well, I don't think you have to work to be seen.
Okay.
But I want us as ladies to work for ourselves. Because the Bible actually states that we're supposed to work 7 days a week. But that doesn't mean that only men are supposed to work. But if you're someone who shows that you have the mindset of working, I feel like for a man, it's something that they can actually appreciate of you. That if I am to start a family with you, we can actually go somewhere. Unlike when someone is just seated and they're doing nothing, like their mindset is not, I think it's not as ready as it is for someone who's already working.
Okay, all right.
Well, I think we have to work for us to be noticed, because no one wants someone who's going to be a burden to them. So for them to have peace, they have to know you are going to be a helper. So if I'm not working, how am I going to help him? So we have to work for us to be noticed.
Right. I'm not sure what you viewers think about the conversation that we're having here. It seems I have two ladies who are of the same mind that we really need to work. And speaking of Natasha, I think I saw some marks on your hands that are actually showing that, yeah, she does work. She does work. So I'm not sure what you viewers think about women working in the household, working towards helping in the family. So you don't start working after the ROORA, but you start working before, right? And then I'll go back on this working business. Maybe my vocabulary is the one that is falling short. But what I want us to think about is for a guy to see you, right? To say, Bimbai, I think I can possibly marry this one. Is there something that you need to do? We're no longer talking about the work in terms of using my hands, in terms of bringing money, right, into the family, or having the potential or the propensity to do business and all. Yes. No, we're now talking about how do I get noticed? And is it necessary that I need to spruce up my face so that the next guy can see me?
Well, we can talk of gender roles on that. There are things ladies are expected to do for them to be called ladies. Okay. We can talk of maybe doing your hair. We can talk of ironing your clothes. Mm-hmm. So those are the small things that men can also notice. Is she wearing nice clothes? They may not be expensive, but are they clean?
Right.
Yes. So those are the kind of works that men can look at and see. Maybe she's someone who is disciplined, who has order in her life just by the way you appear to the world.
Okay.
All right. To add on, I'd like to say that for someone to tell whether you're a responsible person, they firstly look at you. Obviously, they're not going to go to your house so that they may see whether you clean, whether your house is clean or anything. But just by looking at you, they'll just see that this person is responsible, this person is clean, this person, like, naturally. So we can't expect a man to go to our houses to see whether we're clean or not. So just by your presentation says a lot.
All right. So my appearance matters so that I can get into this.
Definitely.
Right. Okay. So going back to the Bible examples, I remember that you gave me, ladies. We spoke of Rebecca, we spoke of Ruth, and the like. Is it possible that you can be born, come into this world, and leave this world without partaking of this ROORA business? And do we have any biblical examples? Because, like, from the introduction, we all want to get into this ROORA business. We want to get married. According to the Bible, the Bible actually says the Bible sanctioned marriage, right? Now that the Bible has sanctioned marriage, is it possible that it's not for all of us?
Well, the sanctioning of marriage was done before sin, right? Yes. And then sin came. And we can all agree that sin came with a lot of consequences that are beyond our control. And then Paul goes on to write that some are born with the gift of singleness. So it's possible for some of us to just come in the world and leave the world without getting in the business of ROORA.
Okay. Gift of singleness. Wow. Right. Natasha?
I agree with Wimbai, but I don't know about the gift. But I agree with her to say that there are some people who are not going to get married. It's not all of us who are going to.
Okay. Since we are talking of the gift of being unmarried, right? Why is it our society has sort of like portrayed the unmarried as if it's not a gift? It's more like it's a curse, There's got to be something wrong with me in my late 30s and I'm not married. Everyone at home is saying, what is going on with you? Why aren't you married? If they're not asking, why am I not married? They are saying they're looking for a guy to marry, right? If they're not looking for a guy to marry, trust me, something is going on. They are praying, they are fasting. They just want to see. Why is it our society has shifted from it's a gift to a curse?
So this is my thinking.
Right.
Since marriage is the original plan and we expect everyone to be married, I think it's something that everyone expects that a male or a female gets married.
Okay.
The consequences of sin come, and it's an unfortunate thing that some of us will not get married, but the thing that we want deeply in our hearts is for someone to get married and they live a happy life.
All right. I would like to also say that if you see like long back, it seems as if people would get married in their early teens, maybe 15, 16. So for our parents and our grandparents, it's something that's shocking to them to say, you're not 30 and you're not married. What's happening? And then they start to think of maybe you have generational cases going on or what. But we are focusing on other things that we need to do before we get married. So they think that it's a curse, but to some extent it's not a curse. And also God's time is always the best, but we fail to accept that.
So I think on Natasha's point, I think there's a generational gap that we're not understanding, that now people are going to school, they can go up to 30 doing their degrees and they are busy with something. Unlike back in the days where you were just supposed to go up to Form 4 and then you have nothing to do at home. So there's a gap that people need to be taught that now ladies are busy with something and they need to pursue that before they get married. You can get married in the business of doing your school, but it's wise to just do school and finish. You can even go up to 25 without getting married because you're busy with something. But our elders now, they do not understand that, because back in the day, ladies are not supposed to go to school up to that extent.
Right. You have just brought in something that's quite interesting there, Wimbai. What are the things that, ladies, that before you get married, right, you guys need to achieve? Or do you have a checklist? For the gentlemen, it was easy. They had a consensus. They were like, we need to be financially sound because I'm bringing in somebody's child and I need to take care of. do we as ladies have that checklist that, look, before I am married, I need to have achieved this, I need to have achieved that, so that as you walk into marriage, as paunororwa, you are now should I say a wholesome person? Yes. Do we have a checklist like that?
Well, the checklist can be in terms of responsibilities and mental preparation, I think, because I've met a lot of my friends. They say when my baby is crying, I might start crying also, because maybe she's not prepared for having a baby and feeding the baby and changing the clothes. So I think for ladies, it's just you need to prepare your mind and your maturity level, and then in terms of education, I think it's optional now. Someone can decide to go to school and finish school and have their degree and be financially stable. Someone can decide not to. So to ladies, it's optional. But in terms of responsibilities and mental steadiness, that's it. That's a must.
All right.
Adding on, I would like to have fun before I get married.
Oh my
I would
goodness.
want to serious. I want to go for bungee jumping. I want to go for skydiving. I want to do all those fun stuff before I get married, because you know how it is that when you're now having responsibilities to say you have a child and all that, you're minding the babies instead of you going to have fun. So I want to have fun.
Wow, interesting. So you want to have fun
Exactly.
before you get into. Are
Definitely,
you trying to say marriage is boring?
No, I'm not saying it's boring, but I'm saying I'll be having too many responsibilities. So I need to have the fun now whilst I'm still single and unmarried.
Okay.
I think on Natasha, what she's trying to say is when you have a baby, you go to Victoria Falls and you're thinking, what is she doing? Who is she with? But when you go now, it's fun throughout. And you might even forget to come back home.
Oh, really? Who have you guys been hanging out with? Forgetting to come back home now. All right. We are having an interesting conversation here of ROORA. I want to go into a rather uncomfortable conversation about ROORA with you guys. How do you feel about the money that is charged by our parents? How do you feel about the money that is charged by our parents? You spoke of education being an option, right, before marriage. Whereas I'll tell you from experience, most parents are going to say education first before marriage, right? And when the ROORA comes, the first thing that they are saying is, we sent our daughter to school. We educated her. So when they charge, there is that feeling that we educated you, Natasha. So we need to charge accordingly. They are benefiting something. You as a woman already, you are a helper where you're going, right? And then by virtue of them taking you to school, paita an added advantage. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm kind of biased on that.
Right.
Since well, in my view, I think ROORA or Lobola is an act of appreciation to the parents. It's an act of respect, rather, where they are saying, we thank you for grooming your daughter in a nice way, in a way that is acceptable in the society. So you're appreciating their parents for raising a good daughter. So it's up to you what amount you pay to them in terms of the respect you have.
Right.
So now when they are charging, it is like they are putting a price on their daughter.
They're selling you.
It's like they're selling you.
Right.
It might be correct according to different cultures and religion, but according to me, I think just going there and showing your respect that I'm here, I am asking your daughter in a very good way is enough.
Okay. Nadia?
Okay, in as much as I want to agree with you, Wimbai, I think that looking at my parents, I don't think they would charge someone out of maybe trying to gain something. But I'm thinking that they would do their own research to say, this is Natasha that we have here. This is what we have done to make sure that her continuous development is on point. But they're not necessarily charging me for what I have done, some of them, but they're charging to say, this is our precious jewel. This is what this guy is going to benefit from what our daughter has. So sometimes it's not like they want to make it hard for the other party, but they just want you to value me the same way they value me. I don't know if you get it.
Yeah, I get it. But now a lot of guys are not marrying because they are intimidated by the prices that are being charged by parents. Someone can charge 6,000, someone can charge 10,000. And originally the plan was they are appreciating the parents for or the caregivers of the daughter of the wife he's going to marry in. But now it has become more of a business thing whereby parents are saying, my daughter went to school and I paid money for that, so you're supposed to bring back the money.
To be honest, that's going to be controversial because I think some of the guys don't even appreciate us the same way that our parents do. So that's where it all comes to.
Or back in the day when women were married, a lot of them were being abused in their marriages.
Yes.
I think that's where the narrative changed, whereby they're saying we're giving them our daughters for less and they are abusing them, they are taking advantage of them. So now they have to give their best
Okay.
so that they know that I paid for this lady, I worked hard for this lady, and I have to respect her the way she's supposed to be respected. You know, our mother says, your father went away for 10 years, living another life, then he comes back after 10 years and say, this is my wife. So those are the kind of things they are trying to do away with, where you don't take advantage of a wife because she's not learned, she doesn't think outside the box.
Right. Okay. Interesting. One is comfortable with being sold. Pardon me for putting it that way. And then the other one is not so comfortable with being sold. Maybe we need to have this conversation with our parents. Perchance we have our fathers and mothers helping us understand about this ROORA business, how they come about with the charging and why. And honestly, I think somewhere along the line, we lost the idea of ROORA, or we lost the understanding of ROORA itself. So maybe on our next conversation, we would we could possibly have our parents trying to take us back to our roots so that we have an understanding. And on the same note, ladies, let's just recap a little. We are saying that the first thing, we need to work. We need to work. Second thing, we are saying appearance.
Appearance, yes.
Appearance. But what happens to those who are not so gifted? You know, you try hard, but haven't you met somebody like that?
Yeah.
Oh, where they try hard, but it's not really doing the things that it's supposed to be doing. How do we?
I think everyone has their own preference. You'll be shocked to see that most ladies that are married, they're not so appealing. You'll be shocked. There are other people, like that person is so like scruffy and all that, but you'll be shocked how much the husband loves it.
They say
So
beauty is in the
people
eyes of
consider
the
different
beholder.
things.
Right. Okay. So they say beauty is in the eyes of the beholder.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is hope after all for everyone. But the bottom line is we need to work.
Yes.
Okay, on terms of appearance, there's a guy I used to know who used to have one pair of trouser and one pair of shirt. But the way he would present those things each and every day is like he has 10 shirts and 10 trousers.
Wow.
So appearance doesn't necessarily mean you have to look good or like look beautiful. Just looking smart.
Just looking smart.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we are saying first things first, work. Secondly, appearance.
Yes.
And then on our checklist, we need to have fun.
Fun.
We need to have fun. And of course, you spoke of being mentally ready.
Yes.
There's a previous conversation that I once watched. I believe there was Mrs. Ngwenya involved in that conversation. And she spoke of us ladies being born ready for marriage. I'm not sure what you guys think about it, because we are saying as as a child, Natasha, you had your doll, and that doll was a baby, right? And you would play house to house. You knew at a very early age what was expected of you as a woman. And not only did you know, you literally practiced it to some point, right? Do you think because of that we are born ready for marriage, or there is another level of readiness that is required on us besides that?
Okay, I think we can't really say we're born ready for marriage, but we are prepared since we're up until Takura, but from a very tender age, we're prepared. Like you're talking about the dolls. We're also talking about us being taught the house chores, and we also taught about going to work, like we're saying. So, in terms of readiness, we're talking about the mental readiness to say, am I going to be able to take care of another person, like other people actually, because I'm going to get pregnant and have my own kids, and I'm going to cater for a whole grown man to say their needs. And also, you know how it is to say, so you have to submit to the other person. Am I going to put myself under that person?
Okay.
Considering that I'm now learned and I've now worked, am I going to say someone might maybe suppress whatever I need to voice out and say whatever you're going to go with is what we are going to go with?
Right.
Also, I think there's a certain statement I read that said, if only the church would prepare men to be ready for marriage as much as they do to women, the world would be a better place.
Okay.
And in terms of being born ready for marriage, there's a certain theories that says everyone is born tabula rasa. No one knows anything.
Yes.
We have an empty mind.
Yes.
So, and then another theory says that what we know and what we have in our minds is what we see. We have models. So as ladies, we are taught at an early stage that you're supposed to do this, and that. And it doesn't happen to men. So now it's like they're taking us as people who are born ready for marriage, as if we're born with an application that says marriage. But it's the society that is making us ready for marriage and not the guys. And in terms of submission, we are supposed to be submissive to our husbands. But ladies can only be submissive to something that is above them. So if you see a lady not being submissive to someone, it means the person is not above them. They can't respect someone who's younger than them. You know, when you're the brainer, ladies are not supposed to be providers. And when you're providing, obviously you can't be submissive. So the man has to be taught to be elements of submission. We need to be submissive, but only to men that are ready for our submission.
Oh my goodness. You are bringing a conversation on top of a conversation. I am sure there are so many people who are listening to this conversation right now and they're thinking, is that it? Especially the men. Especially the men. Right. So as we wrap up this segment, we'll just recap on what we discussed. The highlight for me was what we spoke about in terms of age, right? We need to remember one thing. When the time is right,
The Lord will
Make it right.
the Lord will make it happen, right? So, and we also need to understand that society pushes people to levels, but what should push us, what should drive us is what the Lord says, right? And then we go back to our aspirations before marriage, mental readiness, maturity. We're speaking of working, emphasis on the working.
Emphasis.
Did I get that right?
Yes.
Emphasis on the working.
We were wrapping up, right?
Yes.
And we're saying we are supposed to be working, and in the Bible we see women that were very hardworking in terms of physical or manual labor. So as women, we're supposed also to be able to help our husbands in terms of providing for the family, in terms of responsibility, in terms of being there mentally for mental health. All those are aspects that are supposed to come from a lady for her to be ready for ROORA or marriage.
I think that's pretty much it. And you also forgot the fun part. We're supposed to have fun before we engage in the ROORA.
wise to just do school and finish. You can even go up to 25 without getting married because you're busy with something. But our elders now, they do not understand that, because back in the day, ladies are not supposed to go to school up to that extent.
Also, God's time is always the best, but we fail to accept that there are some people who are not going to get married. It's not all of us who are going to.
If it's conservative,
If you're looking for something liberal,
and realistic, this is the place to be.